How's it going, guys? It's the Pixelate Pumpkin, and in today's video, I'll be ranking every single Home Depot Halloween 2022 animatronic from worst to best. Now, there are a few rules before I get into it, since I'm not going to be including every single new prop from this year on this ranking. For example, I won't be including any reskins or the 3-foot characters, so don't expect to see the new Pumpkin Twins or the new Cauldron Witch duo on this list. I think that's really it. There are a ton of props to get into here, so I am not going to keep you guys waiting. So let's jump right into it with my least favorite prop from Home Depot this year. Coming in last place on this list is the Spirit Twins pair. Now, this is not saying they are bad. I don't think that in the slightest. I actually think they are cool and they are an addition to the lineup. But Home Depot's lineup is so good this year, I really think everything else going forward is just better than it, even though these are still pretty good. They are just static, and I do think $100 is a bit steep considering they don't have any animation. And we did have stuff at Home Depot for $100 that did feature lots of animation, so I just think they're a little bit pricey. I think more like $75 would be serviceable for these, but still, I think they are cool ghostly figures. I do like the lighting effects on them. I like how it's not multicolored. It is just a nice purple and blue color, and I think it looks really nice. And also the audio isn't bad either, so that is another positive for me. There really isn't too much negative I can say. I just, again, really think that everything else going forward is just really good and better. And considering these things are good, Home Depot killed it this year. So let's continue on. Coming in second to last is Home Depot's Standing Witch. Now, like I said before, I don't think this one is bad at all. In fact, it's quite nostalgic and reminds me of lots of classic props. But here's the thing, I just think there is a better and superior alternative, being Tekky Toys' Ghost Witch from last year. Now, I think that one looks better, I think it is cooler, I know it has the same phrases, and I just think that is the better alternative, and I kind of wish that was sold here instead of this one. I love how the Ghost Witch holds the pumpkin, and this one's a lot more generic than the Ghost Witch too. I mean, they do look pretty similar, but I do think the Ghost Witch has a better face sculpt, and I like the latex face a lot better than the puppet jaw this one has. So I really do think the only reason why I don't like this one as much is because I just feel like there is a better alternative. But I don't know. I still like this Standing Witch. Again, I just really like the alternative a lot better. Up next, we have the Illuminated Wizard. Now, I love this thing a lot, and I think it is really cool. I love how the staff lights up so much, and I also love the glowing orb. And I do think his face sculpt is highly detailed and looks really good. My favorite part about him definitely has to be the color of his cloak, though. It reminds me so much of, like, I don't know, something you'd see at the 80s. Like, I think this could be really fitting if you have some sort of medieval-themed, like, theme park you run or something like that. I don't know, I'm just kind of spitballing ideas here for where you could use this thing. But one place I really can't see many people using this thing is where it's intended for, which is a Halloween display. I really think that a theme like this, being a wizard and, like, medieval stuff like that, really is not too great for Halloween displays, and it's personally not my cup of tea, but I know there are a lot of people who do it. But I really don't see him being that too creepy either. I don't think he's the most scary prop in the world. He definitely has a cool face though, and I just think his beard is also a little bit too clean looking, and his beard definitely is not the best. It looks pretty fake in my opinion. But overall, I still think he's a really neat prop. All I wish is that his beard looked a little bit more realistic, and he featured a little bit more animation. If I'm being honest, I probably would have switched him around with my next pick if he did have a little bit more animation than just mouth movement. I think maybe a turning head, or if he raised the orb up and down, I think that would have been awesome. But for the most part, I don't know. I think he is still a really neat prop and something really unique. We don't see wizards. We really never seen a wizard Halloween animatronic before, at least consumer grade, from what I can recall, and this one is still really cool. Up next is Smoldering Reaper of Souls. I do like this guy, but I just feel like he is another generic Reaper animatronic in the sea of generic Reaper animatronics. There really isn't much here to make him stand out as different or unique, so for that, I just think he's a decent prop at best. I still think his servo movement is very cool. Obviously, this is pretty much a reskin or recolor of the Reaper from last year, but I do feel like there's enough different here that makes him stand out from that one. I do feel like that he is better overall, and I think his face mold is pretty much the same, but I don't know, there looks to be something different about it. I know I didn't say I would include recolors on this list, but in my opinion, this guy isn't too much of a recolor. He does the same stuff, of course, but I don't know. I just feel like he stands out enough because of that awesome scythe. Here is what makes this guy so cool, and I guess a little less generic, but the Reaper character himself is still generic, but that scythe looks awesome, okay? That is my favorite part about this prop for sure. It looks like a xenomorph, but at the same time, you can definitely tell it is supposed to be a skeleton, so I really do love his gigantic scythe, and that makes him stand at around 8 feet tall. I guess that's included with the scythe, because it's just so massive. So overall, I think this guy is pretty decent. Again, he's just too generic, and already a sea of generic Reaper animatronics. Up next, we have the Faceless Scarecrow, and I'm guessing that a lot of you were expecting me to put this real high up on my list since, of course, it is a Scarecrow prop, but at the end of the day, again, I feel like there just is a better alternative, being the Flaming Scarecrow, sold 2 years back, and they did have that recolor last year, but I did not like the colors they recolored it with. But I do think the Faceless Scarecrow is pretty different from the original Faceless. I do think Faceless Scarecrow does bring his own unique and cool things to the table, such as having a double arm jump scare, which I think works out really cool. But I think the swiping from the original Flaming Scarecrow is actually better, because it doesn't drop down like the Faceless Scarecrow's arms do. That swipes directly at your head, which I think is a lot more scary. So I don't know. I do like the jump scare here though, and I do like how his face reveals when he does the jump scare. You could still kind of see it on the burlap, but when it does light up, it becomes a lot more noticeable. Therefore, hence the name Faceless Scarecrow, because it doesn't look like he has a face at first. So I do like that concept too. I think that is another neat thing. But again, I just think there is a better alternative, being the Flaming Scarecrow. But for what Faceless Scarecrow is, I think he is a good Scarecrow prop, and very good jump scare prop. Here we have the first of our massive props, or giga props I'll call them, being the animated Immortal Werewolf. Now, I have a lot of problems with this guy, but I do think he is cool all around. So starting off, he is way too plasticky looking. I don't know why they used a glossy finish on the plastic here. I think if they used a more dull coat or dull matte covering so it doesn't shine in light, I think it would look a lot better, since it's trying to sell the illusion that this is actually fur, since obviously making a prop this big using real actual fur material would not turn out good. So that is why they use plastic, of course, but still, it does not work for me. It looks way too plasticky. Second problem I have is the face. I really don't think the face looks all too good here. It looks just strange to me. It doesn't look too proportional. I think the snout is almost too small on him for some reason. And I don't know, it just kind of looks derpy. It's, of course, using the life eyes again, which I have no problem with. And I do like the fact that it's animated. I do like his looking up motion and the howling motion from his mouth. He does have mouth animation, which is cool. I just wish he did a little bit more, though. I mean, I get they really can't put arm animation here because that would probably break very easily. So I get why they didn't do that. But for the most part, I don't know. This is definitely one of my least favorites. And, of course, as I said with the skeleton, this is one that does not make sense to be this tall, because it's supposed to be, like, I guess it's a mythological creature, sure, but it still is supposed to be relatively human size, since it was once a human. So I really just don't get why a werewolf has to be this tall, but I get it. They are turning many classic Halloween creatures and monsters into these giga props, which I think is fine, but I don't know. It's just not my cup of tea. Up next, we have Oogie Boogie, and I think it's really cool to finally see another Nightmare Before Christmas animatronic being made. But I could only help but feel that this could have been a little bit better, maybe if it wasn't made by Jemmy, but I don't know. I still think for what Jemmy usually puts out, they did a really good job on this one for the most part. There's just a few key improvements I think we could have needed for this. For one, I know he is supposed to be all burlap, and that's what his color looks like in the movie, but everyone knows him for the black light scenes in the movie when he is completely green. So I think it just would have been better if he was just made to be completely green, since the lighting effect does not light the entire body up, and there's none in the head either, so it kind of looks goofy just having his whole body lit up, but not his head. So that's something I feel like was a big missed opportunity, and definitely would have helped make the prop better here. Something I think it could have used without is the light up eyes here. I don't know. It's just not too screen accurate, and I just don't like it all too much. But for the most part, Oogie Boogie is a great animatronic, and again, I do think it is really cool that we're seeing some more Nightmare Before Christmas stuff being made. Hopefully they do a few more characters from the movie, since I think there are a few that still could be made into awesome animatronics. Down to the top 5, and at number 5, we have the 4-foot animated Goblin. Now, I've gained some massive respect for this guy since I saw Bag of Bones from Spirit Halloween, but I'm not going to let that affect my opinion of this prop too much. There's so much I love about this guy, but again, I don't really think the medieval theme is my thing, but I definitely see this one being a better seller than the Wizard for sure. For one, I think the way he looks is pretty cool. I'm not the biggest fan of the face, however. I do think there could have been some improvement, especially with the mouth animation. But from the ones that people have been receiving, the mouth animation is actually not too bad on him, which is a big plus. I do love how he has a jump scare, though, being where he pulls the skeleton out of the bag, which is really cool. Basically, it is Bag of Bones from Spirit Halloween, but there's an actual whole nother prop attached to it, and it's the same price. He's almost interactive in a way with that jump scare, and I think for all things considered, he just has so much animation, and you're definitely getting a great buy here for only $150. So I think he's a great prop. One thing I don't like, though, is the audio, how there's a build up to the jump scare. There's a little bit of music that plays before the jump scare to basically signal that the jump scare is coming. So I don't really like how that kind of works. It's not too good. I'm not a big fan of that. But for the most part, he is a great prop. Really fantastic stuff. My fourth favorite Home Depot Halloween 2022 animatronic is Teary the Clown. Now, this is a great, unique one, since it is a blend of so many different themes here. For one, he is a clown animatronic, but he's done so well. He's hardly a clown. He's more of a skeleton, graveyard type prop mixed with clown theming, and it just works out so good. My favorite feature definitely has to be his clothing and the flowers he's holding. It adds such unique... It is so unique, and I just love it. We really have not seen any creative clowns or unique clowns like this in a really long time, but I think what they done here was pulled off spectacularly, so great job on Home Depot for bringing us such a perfect blend of themes into one prop. The one thing I don't like, however, are his phrases, and they are pretty bad, unfortunately. That is the one thing that is not unique about this clown, is that he has some pretty bad phrases. But everything else about him, from his animation to his 7 feet tall height, so this guy is huge as well. I just love it. He is great, and I think he's going to be a massive hit this year because of how unique he is. Coming in third place, we have probably one of the tallest consumer-grade animatronics ever made, the 15-foot Phantom. This thing is awesome. Standing at nearly 2 stories tall, it looks huge. Now, I know in person it's probably going to be a lot bigger than what we see from the videos. I just cannot wait to really see this thing in person. Hopefully my store has one set up. But for all that it is, I think it is an incredible giga prop. I mean, it is just huge. It's simple, but it's done right. I really love the face sculpt there. He does not have too much going on with him, but it's perfect. It is a perfect massive standing prop. You really don't need to have too much going on. His size basically just does the whole prop justice. It is still nice to see that he does have lights in his head, though, and if I'm being honest, I do like those multicolored lights. I think it acts in the prop's favor here, and overall, he's just really, really, really cool. Again, I really hope I'm able to see him in person, because he's going to probably be so much cooler in person, but really, a 15-foot prop. Is it something we needed? No, but is it something that is cool? Absolutely. I could see this guy being another huge seller this year. Definitely way better than the 12-foot skeleton and the Inferno Pumpkin guy. Definitely one of their best gigantic props, but their best one ever is coming up right now. Coming in second place, we have the 12-foot animated hovering witch. Now, this is definitely probably the best 12-foot character we've gotten ever. I mean, the whole illusion of her floating is so awesome and pulled off spectacularly here. And they tested her in extreme winds and everything like that, and she holds up great. So really, you don't have to worry about her breaking or anything like that. I love that they didn't just make an actual witch that stands at 12 feet tall, because that would make no sense. I do love how she has that awesome floating effect. It looks so cool. I love that so much. This whole prop works great. I'm not too sure about the phrases, but I mean, whatever. It's not really about the phrases here. You're not going to be able to really hear them from all the way down below. But still, the fact that you could stand underneath this thing makes it awesome. And I'm sure this will probably be their best seller this year, 100%. It is just such a cool prop, and I'm really happy that they pulled off one of the characters that doesn't make sense to be this tall properly by giving a actual awesome hovering effect in the same process. So really a great and awesome prop. And listen, I know I hate on witches a lot, but seriously, these are the witches that are done right. When they're done creatively like this, they turn out awesome. And the prop coming in first place, which I'm guessing not many people are expecting, is Dean the Deathologist. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys weren't expecting this to be my favorite from Home Depot this year, but 100% without a doubt, this is my favorite. I love this thing so much. He's so simple, yet such an awesome concept that I'm surprised there hasn't been a company that's made something like this yet. I love the idea of a bartender skeleton. It's such classic Halloween to me, and I just love how they pulled it off here. All he needs to do is perfectly executed in this prop. He just has the right amount of mouth animation, He has the right amount of animation. He doesn't really need to do too much, and I love the LED liquid effect with him. And I love the LED liquid effect with him pouring the glass of, I don't know what that is, wine or whatever, but I just think he looks so awesome. I love how he has a mustache and hair too. That is something that I wouldn't expect many other companies to probably do. They probably just have a blank skeleton, but it makes it look so much better. Also, his whole getup and outfit is also fantastic and very well detailed. That is another great thing about this prop. And he is all around just an incredible skeleton animatronic. Probably my favorite skeleton animatronic in a good while, at least the most unique. I don't know whether I like this guy or Grim better, but they're both great skeleton props. Probably the two best, I would say. This one is a more unique skeleton prop, but he's so cool. A bartender skeleton is a perfect idea, and I'm happy somebody made it. Without a doubt, Dean the Deathologist is my favorite Home Depot prop for this year. So with all that, everybody, that's it for my ranking. Alright everybody, and with that, there is my official rankings for the Home Depot Halloween 2022 lineup. Be sure to let me know your rankings in the comments below. I would love to hear your guys' favorites and least favorites from this year. Please subscribe and like, as always. Also be sure to check out my merch and my Instagram in the description below. And also you can find my email address down there if you need to contact me for any reason. And I guess everybody, with that, as always, this is the Pixelated Pumpkin, signing out.